In today's video, I want to take a look at the top 10 NHL affiliated prospects out there who have yet to secure full-time employment in the NHL. There's all kinds of great talent on its way. We'll get into who the top 10 are coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned, there's all kinds of great talent on its way to the NHL. Some of the players on today's list have seen limited action in the NHL, while the bulk of them have yet to make their NHL debut. There's all kinds of very impactful players on the way. So this is the video you're going to want to watch till the end to see who I have ranked as number 1 in the top NHL affiliated prospect. Getting started at number 10, we have 2017 second round pick of the Florida Panthers, Aleksi Heponiemi. Heponiemi previously played a 1 year junior in the WHL in Canada and absolutely dominated, putting up a ton of points over there. Now he's back playing over in Finland. Heponiemi is a very offensively gifted forward with a lot of speed and skill. Recently represented his country of Finland at the 2019 World Junior Championships and had a tremendous showing at that tournament. He was a big part of the reason why they were able to secure the gold medal. Heponiemi is a very dynamic forward with great vision, can certainly help set up his teammates in a lot of offensive opportunities. Like I said, he can play with a lot of speed. I do fully suspect he more than likely makes his way over to North America again next year. After playing a season of junior hockey in Canada, he decided to go back to Finland to continue his development over there. But I would imagine the Florida Panthers are going to want to be eager to get him back to North America. It's hard to say if he makes the Florida Panthers roster at a training camp next season. If not, he might be able to spend a little bit of time in the American Hockey League to further develop his skills. But I do see Heponiemi as being a very prolific player for the Panthers here in the very near future. At number 9, I've got Nashville Predators prospect forward Eeli Tolvanen. Now, not too long ago, Tolvanen would have been higher up on this list. His value certainly has come back here a little bit. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. He wasn't that far removed from having an absolutely tremendous season, dominating the KHL, having an opportunity to play at the World Junior Championships as well as the Olympics. He had an absolutely tremendous year. But this year, we haven't quite seen that continued development to take things up here a notch. He's had limited playing time in Nashville. Played in the American Hockey League, also played in the World Junior Championships again for a second straight year, and it certainly shows a lot of promise still, but it seems like his development has stalled here a little bit. However, Tolvanen does have the full arsenal of offensive skills, including a great shot. He's a great passer, good stick handler. He really does a lot of things well. He can dominate on the power play, and I fully suspect after he's had a little bit more time to develop his skills here at the American Hockey League that he should very well make an impact on the NHL very soon. Now, of course, this is also a player who was surrounded by some NHL trade rumors heading to the NHL trade deadline that was just passed here, just over a week ago. It would not be completely shocking to see the Predators trade this prospect over the summer in order to make some upgrades in other parts of their team. Obviously, the Predators are a very strong team, expected to be a Stanley Cup contender this year. So depending on how things go between the remainder of the season and into the playoffs, wouldn't be a shocker if he is dealt over the summer, maybe getting a fresh start with another franchise. Number 8, we've got Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Troy Terry has had some limited action in the NHL this year, playing in 15 games so far. He was having a point per game production at the American Hockey League this season. Now, of course, Troy Terry was drafted way back in 2015, took the longer road to get into the NHL, playing NCAA hockey for 3 seasons at the University of Denver before making his pro debut here this past season. Troy Terry also had an opportunity to represent his country at the most recent Olympics as well, and was certainly one of their brighter spots, one of the good young talents that was able to play on that team. Troy Terry is also very well known for being very strong at the shootout as well. Had some very impressive goals between his time at the World Junior Championships and the Olympics in the shootout as well. Troy Terry is certainly the type of player who can play with a lot of speed and a lot of skill. Like I said, he's got some great stick handling ability as well, and I do expect him to be a very productive winger at the NHL level. Next up at number 7, we have Carolina Hurricanes top prospect Martin Necas. Now, Necas is a player who has absolutely tremendous speed, putting up some great numbers at the American Hockey League level here so far. Was a really big player at the World Junior Championships. Teamed up very well with Detroit Red Wings prospect Filip Zadina in the past. He's a player who's very, very offensively gifted and certainly projects to be a top 6 center iceman at the NHL level. He's also a pretty solid two-way defensive center iceman as well. I think for his age, he certainly has pretty solid defensive abilities. And with all the other young players on the Carolina Hurricanes roster, I do expect him to fit in quite nicely. I do think after a year of seasoning in the American Hockey League, the odds of Necas making the NHL next year are pretty strong. I personally can see him possibly forming a dynamic duo with Andrei Svechnikov, and those two guys can probably grow in the NHL together. Next up at number 6, we get the Vegas Golden Knights top prospect, Cody Glass of the Western Hockey League. Now, Cody Glass was the first ever draft choice of the Vegas Golden Knights. He's really evolved in the past couple seasons since he was drafted, certainly developing into a very highly gifted, solid two-way center iceman in the Western Hockey League. His skating is something he's worked pretty hard on improving as well since he's been drafted, and you can see a considerable difference in his game. He's certainly developed as well into a very patient yet very gifted offensive center. He certainly projects to be a top center iceman at the NHL level. Now, considering all the moves that Vegas has made, really over the past year, they've added certainly some strong superstars to their lineup in guys like Max Pacioretty as well as Mark Stone, and they've had to trade away some of their other top prospects like Suzuki, like Brannstrom, but they've held on to Cody Glass, and that very well could prove to be a very wise move here. Obviously, I do see him getting into the NHL as early as next season. This will be his last year of eligibility in junior, and I do think the odds of him jumping right to the NHL are pretty strong. However, considering the depth of the forward position for the Vegas Golden Knights, they very well might choose to let him have some more seasoning at the American Hockey League level first before bringing him up to the NHL. Cody Glass also had an awesome tournament at the World Junior Championships, playing extremely well for Team Canada and showed that he could handle the big-time spotlight on the big stage. Next up at number 5, we have Ottawa Senators prospect Erik Brannstrom, who was recently, as of just not too long ago at the trade deadline, a Vegas Golden Knights prospect, another first-round pick by the Vegas Golden Knights in the 2017 NHL Draft. Brannstrom was recently traded during that big trade between Ottawa and Vegas, which brought Mark Stone to the Vegas Golden Knights. Erik Brannstrom was having a very solid first pro season at the American Hockey League level for Vegas, and is now continuing that with the Belleville Senators. I know the Senators are absolutely thrilled to have him, as much as they didn't want to part with Mark Stone. The skill level that Brannstrom brings certainly has that potential to be that solid top pair defenseman. Erik Brannstrom has incredible hockey sense, incredible vision, and is an absolute elite skater. I do think he has the ability to be a franchise type defenseman here moving forward. He has drawn some comparisons to a player like an Erik Karlsson. Erik Brannstrom also showed a lot of leadership skills, recently being the captain for Team Sweden at the World Junior Championships, and was arguably the best defenseman in that tournament, in my opinion. He put up a lot of goals, dominated on the power play, and like I said, he has that ability to take over games and really be that cornerstone prospect that you can build your team around. And with where everything's at with the Ottawa Senators going through a rebuild, he might be that prized prospect that they so desperately needed to really accelerate things here down the road. Next up at number 4, we have another dynamic offensive defenseman, and that's Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, we very well likely will see Quinn Hughes sign with the Canucks once his season in Michigan here comes to an end. At least that's what's expected here so far. I do expect Quinn Hughes to be one of the top rookies in the NHL next season, but like Brannstrom, he's a smaller defenseman, not as big as some of the other guys, but he's certainly incredibly quick, has incredible vision. The skating is unreal, and he certainly has that ability to be that top rushing puck defenseman that the Canucks so desperately need here. Certainly fair to say his creativity and his vision is really what sets him apart from a lot of the other prospect defensemen coming up to the NHL. I do think there's a lot of similarities between Brannstrom and Hughes. To be honest, I had a hard time deciding which one to rank ahead of one or the other here, but I do think it's quite possible that Quinn Hughes right now might be slightly ahead of Brannstrom, but I do think long-term Brannstrom might actually have a little bit more offensive upside, but I guess we'll see once these two terrific prospects both make it to the NHL. Like I said, and we very well likely will be seeing Quinn Hughes' debut possibly as early here as before the end of this current season in 18-19. Wouldn't be shocking to see him sign a contract and at least get into a few games here to get his feet wet before the season's over. Next up at number 3, we have another Florida Panthers prospect, and that's forward Grigori Denisenko. Denisenko is a left winger chosen in the first round in 2018 NHL Draft, and yet another player that we saw really shine at the 2019 World Junior Championships playing for Team Russia. Now, Denisenko is an incredibly gifted offensive player, plays with a lot of confidence, has a terrific shot, and has actually been drawing some comparisons to fellow Russian player Nikita Kucherov. I mean, that's quite a compliment to being compared to a player of Kucherov's status, considering everything he's accomplished so far in his career. Obviously, Kucherov's arguably having the greatest season of his career and the best season in the NHL this season. Would be surprising if he doesn't win the Art Ross Trophy, more likely the Hart Trophy as well. Kucherov's really progressed quite nicely in his career, and if Denisenko comes anywhere close, then the Florida Panthers are really going to have quite a gem of a player here on their hands. But like I said, he performed very well for Team Russia at the World Junior Championships. It's quite possible here that he very well could sign with Florida and hopefully get into their lineup within the next year. Possibly two, depends on how long he decides to play over in Russia. But Denisenko is quite the player, and the Florida Panthers have yet another gem on their hands here. Next up at number 2, we have another first-round pick from the 2018 NHL Draft, and this one is New York Rangers prospect Vitali Kravtsov. When the Rangers selected Kravtsov's number 9 overall in 2018, it did come as a lot of surprise to many folks around the NHL world, but this player is really turning out to be an absolute terrific prospect. Kravtsov has the ability to be a power forward type of player at the NHL, played with a lot of speed, has a terrific shot and ability to finish. I do think that the Rangers made a very smart decision taking this player when they did. They were kind of looked upon as going off the board, kind of going under the radar here a little bit, but this pick is going to prove to be very valuable here long term, especially where the Rangers are going through a bit of a rebuild and need to have lots of younger, highly skilled players enter their lineup. Kravtsov's actually drawn a lot of comparisons to a player who just recently retired, and that is Rick Nash. The way he drives the net, but yet has that stick handling ability, the great shot. Overall, drawing a lot of comparisons to a player like Rick Nash is a tremendous compliment to this player, and if he turns out to be quite the player that Rick Nash was, especially in his younger years, then the Rangers are going to have a heck of a player here, and when he enters their lineup, hopefully in the near term. Next up at number 1, I have the top affiliated NHL prospect, for me at least, is defenseman Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche, currently playing U.S. college hockey. Another player who very well could sign with the Avalanche after his season comes to an end. It's not really quite clear if that's his intent right now, or if he may go back and play one more year of college hockey before signing the contract. But the former 4th overall pick in the 2017 NHL Draft, to me, has the ability to be a franchise-altering defenseman. This guy has absolutely tremendous high-end hockey IQ. He's a terrific skater, and his vision really sets him apart from many of the other prospects here that we've discussed today. Makar is a tremendous passer. He makes his skating look effortless out there. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Scott Niedermayer, really, to a degree. I do think Makar has that ability to be that top pair defenseman that all teams are looking for here, and I think the Avalanche have absolutely got themselves a franchise defenseman coming here in the short term. Of course, they've also got another pretty solid prospect defenseman in Connor Timmins coming as well. So I do think in a couple years' time, the Colorado Avalanche very well might have one of the best, if not the best, blue line here in the NHL once all these younger defensemen have a chance to work their way up to their lineup and get some experience under their belt. So that is my top 10 NHL affiliated prospects. Of course, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear your comments and your opinions down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. There's all kinds of other great prospects that didn't make my top 10 here today. Doesn't mean I'm not high on them. Doesn't mean I don't think they'll be great NHL players. There is a ton of NHL talent on the way from the past couple of drafts. That certainly was not an easy choice here making this top 10 list. But let me know what you think down below, and we will continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel here, hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before you go. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.